We are on page 1 and we are starting, and we will need several drawings to try to understand the anatomy of the animal's back a little better. So an animal whose leg has been cut from the arcuva downwards. What is the arcuva and what is downwards? If we look closely at the leg of a cow here, it has several parts. The hooves are at the bottom. There is a first bone here. There, what is called the hair itself. In any case, that is the first leg that there is. There is a second bone called the arcuba. There is bukatma. When we talk about the ball for turning, there is still another bone that reaches towards the back of the animal. That is to say that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 with small bones here. And the arcuba barcal, that is this bone there. In this arcuba, notice what we can see here. There is what is called haidim. There are nerves. And here, in this case, there are 3 nerves that come out of 3 muscles, tendons, that end in nerve. There are 3 here, and we have 3 more that are on this side. There is a maloket. What are these? Ravanhi or Ravanan, but we will see that much later, not on this page, but already it is only on
The left leg arm. That's it?
For now, we will focus on that. It is at didim, that is at this level there. And we can see right away, see all that the S, it is cut, it is cut. The animal, it is very strong. But let's remember, when I say arkuba, I am talking about the thigh, so to speak. When it is at this level, it has been cut from the bone downwards without touching the bone. So this means that for the bone, which is the lower one, we mean this bone. So at this point, if it is from this one upwards, it has been cut. But now, you say there is traite. Well, it is this region there, if they have been cut. Or if the bone has been broken, this bone there of the cub, not this bone there for now. This bone there for now, that it has been broken. If the row of the flesh, it is still present. The krida, the kosher rank, it means the rank itself to be consumed. We can ask the same question at this level of the bone. Does it mean unarmed as we saw in the previous pages, or does it not mean otherwise? Milk is not. It is called And so here we go into the marquette. Not. In any case, we go into one. It is not me. And so also it is because it is called minha. It would seem that here, that we say shritan, that here, that the shita will give him a min. Because he does not yet. And despite everything, we consider it as meta. It means that he said. So here, priori, we go in a direction of priori deka. That we saw in the... Now we can understand what the mal is, what the mata is. So Amara Buddha Amara Amarabia, the mata that marked in the Michna that was cut at the bottom of the vagum, hides the matam and arkuba right after the awuba, right after the aruba. So right after the, I don't want to say the knee, but the bone in this case of the arkuba that we talked about there now. Say the smart min arkuba, it's right at the top. So that means that in reality we play here between this small region there at the top. Well, I touch the arkuba. Below, I don't touch the arkuba. The arkuba is all that.
All this bone, that it's called arkoba. It's this bone. It's in the middle. This S, we do half of the opening.
No, not half. That is to say where the oba begins, it's called at the top. Where the kuba ends and the bone below begins, it's called at the bottom. We can determine by the middle what it's called, that one.
Yes, that middle there, it's where there is the Tagidim summit, but there are small ones that we will see later that they have a special din at the level of the Tagidim summit. There are 3 or 4 bones here that refer to one another, then later. What's that? That's the worthy one. For now, the Arkuba, it says at the top of the Arkuba, it's tarf. At the bottom of the Arkuba, it's hidden, but they don't say, no, not.
Exactly. It will depend. Agedim, not Degedim. They were affected. They weren't affected. What is it called? Is it included in this place or not? The mariking there or not? The mariking there or not? It means that what is sold with the rock. He understands that it goes with the head. That's how it is, the tabachim who we're used to selling, which means that we are talking about, for now, if I say that, maroshe, it means that we are talking about tartin. After them sai, it's that he doesn't rent it like I said. And now we talk about this bone. In truth, we will see that Bassoon discusses this bone as I have explained. But now that he has ra'oda a priori, he understands that it refers to that bone end. Now, what does that mean? What Arkuba are we talking about? Who with the rock? He called it who? Ilu. For now it is Laba or Amar. On the other hand, what he comes, he tells you, Raya, kenegdo bamal nikar, you must find the same thing at the camel level. The camel has a way of sitting. That makes it called nick. If I look at this drawing here, look at the camel. It sits, you can only see the thigh here. It means that there is this, there's this one, and this one has bones. And that's called nikar the ketyan. The bull tessin, the camel, that can be seen when it's only in the calf. In the bull, it can't be seen, it's inside. It's inside. We can see it well, but it's inside. Because if I go back to the drawing that we said at the beginning, okay, the Arkuba, it starts at that level. So that means there's this place where the connection is inside the animal, unlike the gamal that can be seen. So, kenkto bamal nikar. So what's bolides at the gamma level, it's called the arkurva, which is called the middle bone. And so this whole bone there is called the arkoba. It's the whole bone. If the base breaks, it's gone. And Rabbi Yehuda, he meant that lower down, it's not. That's what's called arkuba. So study carefully. He puts in relation to what looks like what he has on the camel that you can see there on the camel. That's why he wrote later that if now the tajidim has been cut. Why? To teach you that even if nothing, that it has been cut towards the top, but that at the bottom, Leiden is it's broken, becomes TF. That means that if there's just a small problem here, that a priori it's not removed, but there is a problem. To who says? I have to tell you that in such a case, it's possessed, it's priced for the animal. And there, according to you, the Michna spoke about the arkoba that is sold with the head, so the bone below, that if the foot was cut higher up, it is very strong, so it means some yidim. Why do I need to talk about some to get him? Because you say that if it was cut here, it is not, so that it includes sit. So the Mishnah that spoke to you, according to you, does not make sense. Calling it the aruba, it does not make sense. Calling it the aruba, it does not make sense. Maro replied to him, no, this is how I explain. The ra hilusha, it speaks only en bar, that when at the top of the aruba, without kavolegim, being reached on didim without the arkoba, being damaged without the arkoba being damaged. That's it. Like that, I read the Mishnah. What marked the arkuba? If the arkuba was reached, he asked his question. You can't say it like that. It's marked. It's marked in the plural, have been cut. So that means we're talking about both truth and question. So that means that a priori, there's no answer. A priori, it's the cat who counts the bastards after he's out. How come I didn't answer that the mata who marked in the Michna that the matas are hiding, the mata min arkuba is lower than the arkuba, so lower than queen, and the mala who marked that it's not, it's more than two saw. Maybe I could have said that the it was cut here, and the here. This difference, afterwards he said, it's a good thing you didn't answer him, Mar, because he could have answered me. They were cut at the same time. In addition, marked min, so that means above the arba, lower is very there. It's the place that, and since you cut the foot, so you cut even, so I can't explain that the mala. That means the mala siyam ishia milasim. That's why in the end I recognize that he's right there, and that's why I'm coming back. Conclusion: every time we discuss this, we will refer to that bone, as we said at the beginning. Rav Papa Matapa, he teaches this language of Rauden in another way by saying that in the end they are not markets, both agree. The mat, what are the mat? In the mornings, lower than the arkuba, and digid, that means the bone below, if it's broken, if the animal has been cut, if the dough has been cut at that level, the animal is still hidden. The mala, that's the now, that means at the thigh level, it's a little higher than the dough, it was cut. And even if we removed without having kaval, broken the bone, without having cut the dough, it's also passed. That means tariff here, right? Etva herself, that means datab. As he told the Mar that the calf of the Arona by diahwang like the gamal, so it's called the binyas, called the gamal. So it's very in any situation, very in any situation.
So we make a difference, you need two, but even one is not the same.
So if there is no possibility of having a dough that works, so at that moment, either one of the two is enough to replace it.
But if one is broken, the lid is broken, we will see where is the lid broken. Is it broken? There is the basarav. There is no basarav. The guidim aralatzori. We'll see for now if we have cut it.
But if we talk about breaking, yeah.
Breaking?
What is the din? We will see. Okay, after that, it is still not expensive.
Right? The question is, can the dough still stay or not? Because if it lacks the dough, but it does not lack the bread.
No, I know that she doesn't miss it, but will it hold up like this in the long run or not? Now, it comes out according to the Chida of Rav Papa and of their. If the bone of the arkuba is cut in the middle at the top of Tomet Hagedim, the bima can be as long as the Bomet Hagim has not been cut. Mick asks me a question. Is it possible or not if is it possible that if it is you cut something that is at the top, middle male that is at the top, you cut it and you say that it is still hidden and she can live but not cycle to the meta, and that if you cut at the bottom, she will die? Because what are you telling me right now? That if you cut only the bone, she is supposed to live. But if you cut the tendons, she is supposed to die. How is it possible that if you cut at the top, she's still alive, and if you cut at the bottom, she won't live? What is it? Answer's a rule, an answer that we've already gotten more than once. Very wrong. You want to be mame, they're very wrong with each other. It's not possible. And very wrong. We can't understand each step. We have to have it. And the proof that he brought all the time. Zeh. If I cut at the level of the trachea and the esophagus, the chicken dies, or the cow dies, the chicken dies in any case. If I cut it at the level of the shoulder, she will continue to live, yet the shoulder is after the simonim, and yet she will be able to continue to live. So you see that there is no comparison to be made in the very. Now go into the famous, what is it? We're going to see right away, we're going to try to correctly define the diegid place. It's not easy, we're going to try. Rav Ravi. There are three diolkim. Some say that one completes the other. The three devotees we will see now. Rava'ar, Rav Ashi Desargama Lesbar are the tendons that are found in the arkuba. So from the middle, outwards and upwards, that means that if I'm talking about the arkubas here, that's the middle bone. We speak of the tendons coming from here upwards. That's the guidum region that it has to be whole if it's been cut here. Okay. He has to be careful from here to there. What is it from here to there? We'll see in 3 minutes exactly how we talk. Okay. The basa gramada. He cut the bas, but from the outside. Rababa rabas deama. Gamma vegve, that means that, again, we are talking, but on this side, they're in. Yeah, from the inside, so on this side there. That is the second of the third explanation. Ravuna. Tesuma, do you remember what I told you? That there are small bones at the knee level, these bones there at the knee level. It is called the arkuma. What is it called now? Arkuma. There is a drawing here that I am trying to find that shows us here exactly the anatomy of the knee. A knee, and in this anatomy of the knee, there are some small bones that concern us. Here, let's look here in the drawing. As you can see, this is the hoof, the femur bone. I don't know what we call femur, friend. Okay, huh? Tibia or fur? Tibia. Tibia below. Tibia. And after the knee, there are several small bones. And that's called the knee here, Rabba Beraba. So Aruma, this whole region here, is where it is. So does one complete the other, or is one on top of the other? Tuchita, the Roach says one completes the other. Rashi says one does not necessarily agree with the other. Another Chito. There was sitting in front of the Aruma himself. So that means we're going to call it the knee for us, okay? It's not necessarily the knee, because it has several knees. We're going to say the knee for us. Gufa, even the guidam, they are considered his guidam. Tumar leraba, so the arkoma gufa is considered agidim, and so it's a jump. So Rabba said to Rabba, don't listen to that person who is more than enough to be a marmor. And only then. Or that sambim. Hang the animal. How come they hang the animal? We've seen that in several butcher shops. Sometimes there are pieces of animals, and at that moment the animal is hung from the back. There the back is hung. Okay. And when you've hung the back, you put the ring on. He says there, that's the truth. It's there, so for him, it means this area there, not including the knee. Not including the knee. In question, they do that.
It's because it's certain that it's not there. They can find the thing whole.
It has to be removed. Not to eat, it should be removed later. But for according to this, what's his name? After Rabiba, start from where the tabakim hangs the animal in before skinning, before removing the skin.
But we don't have to see if it's whole or not.
Wait. That's for sure. Of course, we're going to see if it's whole or not. Yeah. We're going to check if it's whole. But an animal, it's much easier than a chicken. A chicken we'll see in a few minutes, a little more complex. But first, you understand the definition, according to Rabiba, of what is called sound. So it's a little higher than the knee that we talked about, our knees. What does that mean? It's the place where all the Giddim come together as a single guide. It's called when I was in front, listen to something that I heard. A big person. Who is this big person there? It's who comes together as one, a single guide from the place where they seem to be one. So from this place where we have the impression that they come together as one, until they're mempalim, there you see that they take three different directions. So up to this place, that means up to here, it's called from there to there. A priori, it's called 100 noon, according to that. And how big is this size? Abay Amar. Bet la, the width of 4 fingers. How big are these 4 fingers? Look here. There are some who say that you have to check with your thumb. There are some who say you have to check with all 4 fingers like this. That's the distance, the ajidim, that must, of course, be whole. If they are cut, they are. And then a bora in a bull, so a cow, a bull or a cow, mao. In a sheep or a goat, tomorrow, they are beautify that. The place where they are bull times, in the place where we see them coming out at the level of the flesh, somagidim. That is somagidim. After they have been swallowed into the flesh, aidim is called, plasim is called. And the place that is hard, the guide you feel that is hard to you, when you are soft, lit, if they are big and fat like that, not fat but big, it had its gwim ketine, it had its gwim, as it grows very thin. Water has its rive. If they are white, with sanim the ivra. If they are not white, the agim. So here you have a little photo of this gwidam. Here you have, for example, this is the shock, this is goat, this is goat. So you have the thick one here, and the thin ones here. Okay. You see it again here? The thick ones there, and the thin ones here. You can see it here, thick here, and the two that are small and thin here. That's it. It's from that place. As soon as it starts, as soon as you see it there, it's hard, it's white. You see that it's hard, it's white. More than that, and as soon as it starts to lose its white color, then it's more like a Mar goat from the Agalgab. Even if they become transparent, even if they're not white, it's still called Amarndes. Now the Michna doesn't want it in a case where it's been cut, it's very thin. It's very thin. And how many tomes to be considered very thin? One is enough, or it has to be the R. There are 3 R's, so on TR or R at the surface level. So, we saw that there are 3 wires, including sheep and cows. 1 that is big but very thin, and 2 that are small. If the big one has been cut, the surface wire has already been cut and it is gone. If the 2 small ones have been cut, as the arminan it has, we have lost in the number of 3 on D, so 2 out of 3, it was gone. So that means that for it not to be either the big one has been cut or the 2 small ones have been cut, mach and 1, that means 2, they are still kosher. For that, when you told me all it takes is 1 that is cut, I told you, wait, we'll see later, because it's not obvious. Marchima lakula valakula. What is it? Lakula or banana or minion dress, you shouldn't have both at the same time. It means rather, you have to have the robe both at the same time so that it's hidden. And if there aren't both at the same time, it's hidden. It means if there are 2 out of 3 left, even if I cut the big one, it's hidden. If I cut the 2 small ones and left the big one, it's just acre. There have to be both conditions and the ran so that it doesn't happen often. So alam, if the big one has been cut, min, this is what he's explaining right now. That's what he's
explaining. I say verbally, but explaining right now. That if now the big one has been cut and there's still 2 small ones left, so there's ar Minan on mignan left. Okay? Left. So it's kosher. Both have been cut. The banana, there's still the surface that's still there. So in the same case, it's still kosher in chickens. So chickens, it's a little more complex. Okay? Because in chickens, if I have the drawing of the chicken here, okay? As you can see, the gidim are here too, okay? There's the dough from below and the thigh, okay? Who has the, what do we call it? Cabbage dropsa, triangle, like when we make a pargite, we take the triangle and the thigh, the pook. And here a drawing that's a little clearer. 1 second, I'll show it to you right now. There are two, there's the thigh, the pook. And you have the triangle that we take out from here, and the gidim is in this area there. Now look closely, because he's going to say it right after. There are 16 tendons. Yeah. So no, in the animal we said that there are only 3. In the chicken there are 16. And you have to see if one is cut. This is contrary to what we just said in the cow. According to the coat or the Robinian, these tendons all come out to the foot. They come out there.
All go down, they complete one down. They are here. You see them again here. They all join up towards a single tendon. So then, like this, tendons that are cut vary. If you want to know if the chicken can walk, it's because all the tendencies are valid. If you see her limping, there is a problem. Or else sometimes you take the chicken's leg and push towards the back of the thigh. If the leg stretches, it's because the tendencies are low. If you can't stretch to do it, it means that the trends have been reached and that the workers are already cutting their throats. Today, they don't even have time to do all that because they take chickens that are in cages and they cut their throats. But they do 9 per minute. So you understand that they don't have time to check it. If you take chicken by chicken before cutting their throats, you can check that afterwards. You don't need to check it once you put it on. Oh no, if you checked before and you saw that the chicken works, you don't need to check after. You didn't check before, you have to check after. You must know that today the chickens are raised in cages, so there are major malformations in the dough.
So it's very possible. No. Because they are in cages, they don't have time, they don't have room to move, but they get fat. They get fat. They go to the slaughterhouse, so they don't have the possibility to be able to. And that's why the percentage of diem, it can be quite significant. And all the adrendu, one of the differences between the badatim and the rabban is the number, the verification. And Amar Rabashi, with a mina before all, brought a chicken or badak. He checked, he found that there were 15. And by what turned out to be one that was composed of 2, he separated them, found 2, so he returned to 16. Because here at 15, it's 1. So he succeeded after reviewing. It's very feminine. When we said quim, it's when the rove is in a bima. Hey, not in a chicken, because a chicken, there's only one. Now, what's the rove? The rove's that one of there. That's enough to put it in. However, we said that before, no? Some say we go according to the... Comment at TR. But when there are TR, there are TR. One that has been cut entirely, there are still 2 left. And so there are still 2 left that must be hidden because the Rabba, the Gwadims are still present. Hey, what do you... So that means because there are 2, there are none. That means it's very strong. In the animal. Even if there's only a small one left, like the thickness of a sarbus thread. Down there, it's a kind of wool coat. Even if there's still some thread left, it's still the TR. It's still
that expensive, it's hidden. In the No, of the three. In the three, there's still a little thread left. That brings back a little bit of a different way of saying things. What is each one? The rope of each of the guidim. If they were cut, it's very... A third of each one is still hidden, a third of each of the trum, but it goes there, it reinforces it because we... Like a thread of wool, it's hidden. Essentially, it said I have a little piece left. Okay, now we're going to go into another saying. If the bone is broken and the bone comes out and the broken bone is visible, is it called a metal or not?
Talk about the bow or the bone.
Huh.
That's the AR.
No, it's the lower leg because the rib is still inside. It must be. Yes. But we'll mainly talk about what you call the tibia. What's at the bottom? With the rib of the meat is present, and whether it's supposed to be earned or not earned, that's what we want to know. What's called mincha? It's not called with the mouth. Los animals? Nada. If it's higher than the rib, yes. If it's the middle bone, imrobasar is present, se, and the leg is allowed, and the animal is allowed, that means that as long as the meat holds the bone, it's not called yet that you've lost the the member has disconnected. There, if the basarab does not cover the break, is not covered by the basaru, sour, and the dough is aura, because it is considered to be worm, and the animal is not. It is the beast itself. It is very strong. Because it is called the kuba, it is very strong. Because it is called the kuba, it has been cut, and we assume that when the kuba is missing, the animal is tarf. It's good?
Because...
No. Even if Thade was not hit this time, and since there is no flesh that holds, so it is downright, there is not much flesh. So the more, as if it were disconnected from the animal, so that means that it is missing, since part of the aroba is cut. So it's automatically the animal that...
It's one of the things that makes it an animal. It's one of the...
things that makes it at the level of the back of the animal. It's in if it's cut. The matamin arkoba, if it's lower than the arkoba, so in the tibia itself, in basar kayam, if the meat is cut, it's zuta, and the piece and the end of the dough, it's still allowed, and the animal is hidden. And it washes me, otherwise, the member itself is called worm and beast. But the beast is allowed to be eaten. Why? Because it's lower than the arkoba, is lower than the arkoba. It doesn't make it a fair. Well, both at the top of the aruba, as well as at the bottom of the aruba, the basar, if the raw basar is present, it still covers the break. Mutar, the animal and the piece are allowed. Otherwise, well,
It is on...
is on the aroba when the roba of the basar does not cover the break. Is the animal kosher or not kosher? And for the animal, it is kosher, it is not very fine. Although I can't eat the dough, but the animal is still kosher. I don't understand. Let's say that part of the limb is thrown in the trash because it is allowed. Why are you asking a question only about it? And for Rav, you don't have a question. But Rav's, to me, it's not. It's a bit the same thing. What did the Rav say? The basaro, if there is no basaro holding the tibia, so the dough from below, the tibia is attacked. But the animal is master. What are you going to tell me? The end of the dough, so the tibia is thrown in the trash, and the end is allowed to eat. It's the same question. To Marlena, no, I'll explain it to you. That's how I wanted to explain my question. And Chehaya mimena, a member of that we are supposed to live from, their mutalpa, it is thrown in the trash. So minar kuba, they said that if the kuba is cut, it can't live, so we're going to throw it in the trash. And there? Okay, how is that possible? Because on the bottom part, the issue is the animal can live without it. They sent one from Israel to whom the ravs are like ravs who, if he cut or broken, the basar doesn't cover the bone, the animal is in shin prison. Dasar le'eshin is in prison. They changed their minds and they sent it back a few times, like Masa, and the member is called Masa, so it's called min. Okay, so that means that Laita is an ipo, since you consider that the member is min. That's the question that we've already seen between he brought the reminder the question had been asked because he finished, we made a difference between meddled and ubar. He had asked, he wanted to prove to Rabbi Mirdever Mual that it is very special there because it is migufa. And that on the other hand, in the case of deer, it is something that is not ufa, so there is no reason to say that the worm that comes out, because okay, so if you allowed very not to be very not to be there, and you also allowed the verawal to have in gigufa something that is from the animal's body, you are your end, you allow the paste that the embryo has made come out in shazufa that is not from its body. So what do we see from here? That according to everyone, the Verda is born with milky. Milky? Why do you say that it must be with milky? Why did you go to look for a bed of the Brita? Or you could have asked a question of the Michna herself. What? That if now we have been chet, then with a viral, okay, we have been chet. The blood that has spurted, it is the one that will go back to walk. Okay, so that means that it is not tamed. Rabbim says, no, the blood is not a blood that makes meat also suitable to receive the lu, rabbalu, ahosa. Answers. Why did I not ask the question of the Mishnah? Because the Mishnah, we can be. We can answer like the Gemara was, that it is, and that we could believe that that is why I need to teach you that the famous demonstration that brought him back previously, that normally like him, then I could have believed that he does not need the shir with a sick liquid. That no, on the contrary, he needs to err. So who will be dirty? When Rabbi Zer went up to Israel, he saw that he said that anciently there in the name of Rab. Well said. Like this Arior in Bavel, he explained who Arior is. What does that mean? Why do we call him Arior? Because he was a great one. Why a great one? Because in Mammon, like him, Mammonot are things that are malat. So these are things, by the way, it is Shell who says malaut. So these are things that they make good shoulders for that, okay? In a Rure of Babel. And so that means that I agreed with him that in truth, if it broke at the level of the femur bone, so of the arkuba, if there is no robe, of the basar, that even in pay the animal, it is the member, it is the animal, it is, by the request goes flay. How can you tell me that he said something by he is gabdas? Yeah, he was on the words of Rab, so he agrees with Rab. If now a part of the bone was broken, came out here outside. So when you see in this drawing there, okay, you see that the S, we see it from the outside. We are talking about the tibia, okay? We do not see the arkoba. If the skin and the flesh covers and holds the robe of the place of the break, mustard, the right, other white, it is the kamarobo. What is called roe? Hashu ravimira and rabovio, the roe of the thickness of the bone, the roe of the circumference of the bone. The two conditions. The R of the must be covered with the meat, and the circumference of the meat must be covered with the meat. Or with the skin. So I can consider the skin as meat itself. After what we said, the dress of one and the other. Mart lasulaha, why are you telling me that it is accomplished? With the basar, to become to the basar, because he marked the tu'ar, lasulaar, mensha. Tamar. Because he said, the rove must be covered with something to be covered. Meat, and or, so he means one or the other.
Okay, but before arriving at the dash, go through the door has to cut? No, necessarily.
No, but not cut there. It is the bone that broke. So it is from the inside. First it breaks, first it tears the meat, then it goes towards the skin. So if the skin is still there, even if the meat is torn, if the skin is still there, call this Audi. Oh, we must see now if the skin still covers part of the bone. As you see here, for example, here it still covers part of the bone. So at this moment, it is not. It is not disconnected. Orar replied to Marli, there Arabanan Orar, in my Michna I was marked with or basare. Like that. Or is associated, that is, say that or completes the basra, that ru is meat and or can be mashlamat, a meat that has a little skin and a lot of meat. You can say, Tamarli replied, I know bars that there was a bird, a little bird, and rake of the orfab, and that over there he completed the lus 100, the lus 100, the row duff of the bone that was broken. Permit bargos, you say bargos alear, there they have the skin, it is thin, it is tender. So it is a din that is different from the skin of the cow. And so when he was he had merbesar, half of besar, half of or. But in the bima, it is hard. So that's why he has to have the robe of basar in the skin. It can complete, to get to the robe, it has to be the robe of meat and not the robe of the skin in question.
The skin of the bird
Is closed.
That's why. That's why.
The siya can be nisfa. It means that it was motor.
Yes, but
It was mis. But what's the difference? It is necessary to arbor. We'll make do with it. But even if there is a little bit of meat of skin, it works. That means that Armai.
After that, it doesn't look like with.
Because the skin is thin, so it's like meat. Whereas the skin of the cow is thick, so it's not like meat. Weigh the heart of Iranians.